Who the fuck are you?
What's going on, everyone? Daniel Rodriguez here. It's time to review another movie. Today, I'm going to be reviewing the latest installment in the X-Men franchise. Of course, it's directed by Bryan Singer, the man who's directed X-Men 1, X-Men 2, X-Men Days of Future Past, one of my favorite movies of all time for comic book movies, and of course now X-Men Apocalypse. This movie stars James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, Jennifer Lawrence, Evan Peters, Sansa Stark from Game of Thrones, man, Sophie Turner, so many other amazing people. Ty Sheridan, Oscar Isaac plays Apocalypse. You have an amazing cast going on in this film, guys. Nicholas Hoult. So this is a non-spoiler review. I'm not going to spoil nothing for you guys. My spoiler review is actually up right now on the channel. If you want to check it out, that is my spoiler review. This is my non-spoiler review. So I'm just going to give you the pros, the good stuff, the cons, the bad stuff, give you my final score, tell you whether or not you should go check this out in theaters, wait for rental, or maybe just never see this movie at all. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here's my non-spoiler review for X-Men Apocalypse. Starting off with the pros, the estimated budget for this film is $178 million. The effects in this movie are freaking awesome. There's not one effect where, like, no like computer effects where I was like, ew, that looks dumb, or oh, that looks fake, or it never took me out of the movie. And I saw this movie 2 times, Thursday night in 3D and then Friday morning in regular 2D. It looks awesome. I mean, all the effects, and I recommend 3D personally because I had a great time in 3D. It even popped it up. It popped out a lot of more of the surrounding areas on the screen. It popped it out more. It looked beautiful. Apocalypse and seeing everything in the back just pop around was awesome. So, $178 million, and the effects that they did in this movie was pretty freaking outstanding on how it looked. It really looks amazing on the big screen. Second off, man, Oscar Isaac as Apocalypse and Salvador. Oscar Isaac is one of the greatest actors right now in Hollywood, and he was in Star Wars The Force Awakens as Poe. He was in Ex Machina. He's been in many movies around for the past probably decade or so. Very little stuff. He's very coming to the spotlight now. He's finally freaking popping up in that spotlight where people should know the name Oscar Isaac. And him as Apocalypse, the makeup was really well done. They really do a lot of close-up shots of Apocalypse's face, and he's so intense in it, dude. Like, you are creeped out by him. You're scared of him. If you come across him and he don't like you or something, or you're not the special one, he's gonna freaking just... He'll take you down, let me tell you that much. Apocalypse is one of the greatest villains in any superhero film ever made. That is my personal opinion, and I love X-Men. X-Men is one of my religions, dude. I own all the X-Men films. I love each and every one of them to a degree, and I would say Bryan Singer did an awesome job directing this film and how he moved the direction and tone for the X-Men characters going along in this movie. But the way that they did Apocalypse and the look and the makeup and just his voice alone and how Oscar Isaac did a freaking phenomenal performance, dude. I loved him. And just for 2016 movies alone, he was better than Ajax, he was better than Lex Luthor or Doomsday, and he was better than Zemo. And I love all the superhero films this year are either good or great, and I enjoy them as superhero films. I'm talking about the superhero genre. But for this, Apocalypse takes the winning so far. Just the way that he is presented and the way that he is used is fascinating and satisfying for me as an X-Men fan. Now, the new generation of X-Men are introduced in this movie. We have Sophie Turner as Jean Grey. She did a really awesome job, dude. I really liked her presentation as Jean Grey. Scott Summers, of course, Ty Sheridan playing Cyclops. Awesome. Like, everyone did great. Nightcrawler, the new Nightcrawler, dude, I loved him. He was really cool. Angel in here, really nice. Psylocke, we'll get to her in a little bit. Let's just say she's very underused. But Olivia Munn did look good as Psylocke, of course. Really, really looking good. Either way, everyone, like, I'm excited because the new idea is that this new generation of characters is going to continue the franchise in some sort of way. Like, the next X-Men will have Ty Sheridan, will have Sophie Turner playing these characters again. This is like the first, I guess, of their trilogy now. Closing off the Fassbender and McAvoy trilogy. Not meaning that they're not going to ever come back to the other films, but closing their trilogy, starting with First Class to Apocalypse, now starting the new trilogy with Jean Grey and Cyclops and Nightcrawler and Quicksilver starting off their trilogy now. But they did really, I mean, I'm very impressed with Ty-Sheard in the way that he played Cyclops. Dude, he was very likable, very enjoyable. Not one of them were really annoying where you're like, God, this person, I can't get used to them. And then again, I mean, Sophie Turner, Sansa Stark, really, really did an awesome job. So I'm very proud of where they're going to go with the X-Men franchise in the future. And some people didn't have that many scenes, like Angel didn't have that many scenes. He was underused as well. And Nightcrawler was a little bit underused in this film, but still, from their presence on the screen made me happy, it made me smile, and it was entertaining to see them, actually fight and be on the big screen again. Now, Jubilee is underused, and she's only she doesn't even speak a word. Jubilee doesn't even say nothing in this movie, which I was very disappointed with about that. But their introductions, literally, the way that they introduced Scott, Cyclops, the way that they introduce him and his backstory, and they introduce some of their backstories, and you kind of get details and stuff of the dialogue of what their backstory was. It is very fascinating to hear. Of course, with superhero films, you have to have amazing action, so effects are already a check. The cast and the way that they're presented themselves as new generation and the old generation, as in Fassbender, McAvoy, Jennifer Lawrence, Nicholas Hoult, the people returning from the past trilogy, and of course the people of new Cyclops and them, the new generation. Check. They're awesome. All of them are great, but Michael Fassbender gives an amazing performance. Let me just tell you, he gives one of the best performances. He's a great actor. Steve Jobs, Macbeth, many other movies, dude, and of course Assassin's Creed coming up. Michael Fassbender is also just very awesome actor, man. I don't think no one really hates Michael Fassbender. You can't really hate on the guy. He's a very talented person. But him, again, as Eric Lenshoff, Magneto in this movie, he freaking really stole the show at times. He really just gave a powerhouse Shakespearean sort of portrayal and acting, and I tip my hat off to you, my good sir, Michael Fassbender. Fantastic job. Of course, now the action in the film, like I said, every superhero film needs to have amazing action as a spectacle scale, a big freaking boss battle and everything. The action was satisfying in here. The third act did kind of fall apart with the action scene, the final boss battle did fall apart at times, but other than that, throughout the whole freaking film, the action was pretty much spot on and kept beat for beat, and it was pretty intense, fun to watch. Of course, with, I'll say this, of course, from the trailer, many people know, without spoiling much, Wolverine, all I'll say was his cameo and the action scene that he had was one of the most amazing things I was seeing on opening night, with everybody screaming, everybody, yeah, and everyone just, there are many moments in this film where my mouth is wide open and I'm like if I'm a kid again, if I'm a little 10-year-old sitting in the chair, And the opening of this film is one of the most intense openings I've ever seen in a superhero film. I mean, literally boom, 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 and it has because it opens up very, I won't say how, but it's oh, it's man, it's just like a vocal and a big chorus in the background, and oh, sing la la, they're doing freaking chorus things and everything, oh, ça la vie, and it's boom, 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 boom. It's very intense, very, it gets you in the mood, holy crap, what's going on now? And just everything, it's apocalyptic, let's just say that. The way that it opens got you like that, it got your attention, and it opens, it doesn't underestimate Apocalypse. He is very overpowered in this film, and that's one of the greatest things about it, is that they don't weaken him. He literally is one of the powerfulest mutant alive, and the way that they show that, the way that they show their backstories, I love it all. I really personally do. I like that opening, all the way opening to end. It's an action-packed, fun movie. It's a fun superhero film, man, that I really enjoy. And also Evan Peters as Quicksilver. He stole the show again. I mean, definitely Quicksilver in this film used, of course, way more than X-Men Days of Future Past, which I love the X-Men Days of Future Past Quicksilver scene. But these scenes that Quicksilver, that Evan Peters does in this film is really, really, really one of the best highlights of the film. On to the cons. Some characters were not used enough, such as Angel and Psylocke. Those were the characters that were really just not used enough. Psylocke literally had maybe 2.5 minutes of screen time at most. Angel maybe had less than 8 minutes of screen time. But the way that they used Angel was disappointing. It was a very disappointing thing on how they ended up using Angel within the movie. Nightcrawler, he was awesome in every scene, and he was really cool. I'm Kurt Wagner, yaha, you know, just the whole makeup and the look, and the guy who actually played Nightcrawler, really awesome performance for Nightcrawler, of course. But it just underused characters. Some characters you wish would have been used more. Havoc in the movie, I wish they could have at least gave him more scenes. There are just some characters that didn't get as much screen time as you wanted them to get. And again, I think the number one most disappointing thing about this movie, because there are a few disappointing things about this movie, is Psylocke. Psylocke just, wow. She is the Captain Phasma of this movie. Even Captain Phasma got more scenes than Psylocke. That's crazy, dude. The third act of this film was where it sort of got little convoluted. It got very much packed. And it's a good thing and a bad thing, because Apocalypse was perfect throughout the whole movie. I enjoyed the character Apocalypse. But the third act is where everything sort of like, the action was awesome, but there were a few action pieces within the whole like 15-20 minute action scene. There were parts of it where like the choreography, the way they did that, or there were cheesy moments within that battle where you're like, oh wow, you would be dead, you would be that. So it was disappointing within the third act, where there are good moments of the action scene, and then there are disappointing moments of the action scene. As well as Storm. Storm maybe had 5 minutes of screen time, maybe 6 minutes of screen time. I think even Angel got more screen time than Storm, maybe, if I'm not mistaken. Storm and Psylocke and Angel were probably the three of the Horsemen were the most underused people in the film. You know what I mean? Like, you think like they've been showing Storm off a lot, and then barely even used in the film. I mean, it's very disappointing for that. But she was a good Storm. She was a good Psylocke. Olivia Munn played Psylocke, and she was good in the scenes she was in. And I enjoyed Ben Hardy as Angel. Dude, I actually liked Ben Hardy with hair before they did the whole mohawk like look and the face tattoo. I liked before Ben Hardy turned into that. That was cool. So the third act sort of fell apart, and then again the underused characters, of course. And the last pro that I would have to say is there are pacing problems within this film. Now, I've seen this movie 2 times, and the second time it even felt longer. And that's because I even know what's going to happen. It feels like, I don't know, it feels like, because it's about 2 hours and, 2 hours and 25 minutes, something like that. It's almost 2.5 hours, something like that. But it feels so long and dragged out in some scenes. There are a few scenes where it feels dragged out. So be prepared for like a 2.5 hour film. It's just as long as Batman v Superman and Civil War. They're as long as that, like where it's a long ass feeling of a film. Yeah, your butt's gonna hurt by the hour into it. Like your butt's just gonna end up being hurting and everything. So it has some pacing problems where I was like every scene is good on what they want to do, but it's not a perfect film. You know, again, they have some underused characters. The third act almost falls apart in some of the action scenes, and there are a few plot holes. I don't want to spoil anything, but there were a few plot holes that I noticed when I was reading up on some stuff, and I was like, yeah, I was thinking about that. I wonder if that was just because they wrote it that way, or they just didn't think about it, and turns out they probably most likely didn't think about the science of it and all that. So, yeah, there are a few plot holes. It's not the most perfect film ever, but it's one of the great superhero films I've seen in a long time. Again, Civil War was a fantastic film. Amazing. The Russo brothers did it again. It's my favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe movie to date. So Civil War was awesome. Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice was a great superhero film. But as a film itself, take the superhero out of it and just a film itself, very disappointing. No plot, no nothing in that film. This film actually has plot. Apocalypse does have a plot. He does have a motive. There's actually stuff happening that makes sense. And of course, Deadpool was just a fun, good script, awesome comedy. Deadpool was a freaking great movie. So every superhero film this year has been great. But this is one, I like this a little bit more better than Civil War. Does that make Civil War a bad movie or anything? No, it doesn't. It just means that that's good. There's great superhero films coming out instead of, oh, that movie sucked. No. All superhero films this movie have been great so far. So overall, I'm going to end up giving X-Men Apocalypse an 8.5 out of a 10. I thought it was a really great film. Is it worth watching in theaters? Yes, I do believe so. Go watch this film in theaters, man. If you're a big X-Men fan, definitely go check it out. And watch it for Fassbender, Oscar Isaac, and McAvoy, because those guys give one of the greatest performances of all in this film. And I'm not lying. Oscar Isaac is one of the greatest villains I've seen in a long time. And for superhero films, his performance was spectacular. Oscar Isaac stole the show for me. That's my personal opinion. And then, of course, Quicksilver, funny, the new generation of X-Men. We're in the right hands. Give Bryan Singer the next X-Men movie, because I enjoyed Bryan Singer in him directing this. And X-Men: Days of Future Past was my favorite X-Men film. Apocalypse is right there. They're my two favorite X-Men films right there. And that's it from me, guys. So comment down below, tell me what you guys think about X-Men Apocalypse. And it's a Blu-ray pickup for sure. Day one, when this comes out on Blu-ray, I'm definitely picking it up and watching the bonus features and all that good stuff going on. So thanks again for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and share. And hit that subscribe button. I really would appreciate that. Until next time, bye-bye.